All right, we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and subscribe, follow the show, and turn notifications on. Donate if you can. GSMCpodcast.net really does help the show, really does help me, really does help everyone here at the network. So thank you so much in advance for that. And let's get into our second segment here, which I previewed, of course, before the break. It is going to be about the keys to each NL team's season and some ways I think they can succeed and kind of play up to their full potential in a way. I'm going to get it started. Usually I don't start with the NL. I usually start with the AL, but, figured I'd switch it up this time. I am a fan of an NL team, so I guess I wanted to give them their praises. So the first team I'm going to start with is the New York Mets. With the Mets, I think the keys to them is the players bouncing back. Simply put, last year a lot of bad luck happened with them. You look at the players that had rough seasons. Of course, first you have to look at Edwin Diaz, their star closer. Edwin, he had a freak injury, was out the entire year. I think you have to look at him as a player to bounce back for the Mets, solidify the back ends of that bullpen, being one of the best closers in baseball like he was before. Starling Marte was injured. That was a real rough loss to the Mets team that not a lot of people were talking about. Luis Severino, who they added, awful season with the Yankees. He's looking to bounce back. So I just think there's a lot of players on this team that need to bounce back, play back to their potential, play up to who they really are. And, I think that's a real key for this team, and I think that's a way that they can be in the playoffs again. After that, we're going to go to their NL East mate, the Braves. For the Braves, I think pretty simply it's that their pitching additions perform. They added Chris Sale, added Reynaldo Lopez, and I think both those guys performing up to who they are would be a real big bright spot for them. Obviously, the pitching has been the reason that they've gotten eliminated from the playoffs early 2 seasons in a row. And I think if Reynaldo can prove that he is a starter and not a reliever anymore, it would be a really good sign for the Braves. If Chris Sale can go back to being who he once was, I think that would be a really great thing for the Braves, of course. Be scary for other teams as well. So I think just the new additions they have in the pitching department, them performing, bouncing back in a way as well, I think that would be a really good sign for the Braves and a way for them to succeed. After that, we have the Marlins. For them, I just think it's their young pitchers performing. They have a lot of injuries this year to the pitching staff. You have Sandy Alcantara. Yuri Perez just went down. You've had some other depth guys go down as well, and I think you have to look at guys like Braxton Garrett, Ryan Weathers, A.J. Puck, kind of younger guys who don't have that much experience either in the major leagues or starting. And I think those guys performing is going to be the deciding factor on how the Marlins do this season with the injuries they've had to their staff. We always talk about how great the Marlins farm system is for pitching. That's true. But I think it's really being tested here, and not everyone has an unlimited supply of depth. So definitely something to watch and something to see. The Phillies, kind of a vague one here, but I think just the pitching bouncing back. Aaron Nola, who they re-signed, didn't have the greatest season last year, so you'd like him to kind of play back to who he is. The Nationals, sorry, I don't know why I went back to the Nationals for a second. Ignore that. Also, you have Taijuan Walker. I apologize if there's any outside noise, by the way. I don't know why there's so many people around, but there is. The Nationals, again, I don't know why I'm sorry. The Phillies. We're on the Phillies. Taijuan Walker, I think, is another guy that has to bounce back. Obviously signed to a very big contract last offseason. I don't know why they signed that as a Mets fan. It's kind of concerning that they signed Taijuan Walker, of all people, to a big contract like that. But I digress, I guess. You want him to bounce back, play to that contract. He has. After that, you want some guys in the bullpen to bounce back as well, have nice seasons. I think really, though, you look at Nola and Taijuan Walker, those two guys, I think they're really some of the deciding factors for this Phillies season and to get them back to the World Series. After that, we finally have the Nationals, who I wanted to talk about more than once, apparently, for some reason. I think for them, it's just their young players proving themselves. They have a nice young core building there. You have Mackenzie Gore, you have Josiah Gray, You have James Wood, C.J. Abrams, Robert Hassel, Harleen Susanas, another guy. I forgot to mention Keibert Ruiz. Joey Meneses isn't really young, but he's part of the core. So I definitely think those guys, showing why they are top guys, why they are going to be future of this Nationals organization, just proving themselves and, showing who they are, showing their potential. I think that's a huge thing for the Nationals, and I think that's really what you want to look towards in a season where you're still clearly rebuilding and you aren't really trying to your real main focus isn't to win entirely. So that's what I say they need to focus on. Going on to the NL Central here, I have the Cardinals first up. For them, I would say the new pitchers and them performing. I think that's the biggest one for them. Obviously, their pitching rotation was nothing short of horrible last year. I mean, just absolutely horrendous. So I think them, the new pitchers they added, them performing up to their standard would be really what needs to happen there. Sonny Gray's already hurt, which is not a good sign, but I think the questionable signings you had, like Kyle Gibson, like Lance Lynn, those guys, they have to step up, solidify that rotation with the great hitting they have. And I think if they can do that, the Cardinals can have a chance to bounce back. Do I think they will? Probably not. But again, maybe the Cardinals is something I don't about Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn in the year 2024. After that, we have the Brewers. This is going to be the same for a few teams down this list. For them, it's just the young players proving themselves. They made a lot of subtractions this offseason with Mark Canha, with Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff's out for the year, Devin Williams out for a long time, and I think it's kind of proving to them that it's kind of proven to us that they are going into more of a rebuilding, retooling situation, and I think the young players that are going to be a big part of that retooling and rebuilding have to prove themselves. Guys like Sal Frelick, like Tyler Black, like Jackson Chourio, of course, DL Hall, who they acquired. The young pitchers they have on that staff as well. I think that's really what the main part of the Brewers season is going to be, and I think that's really something you have to look towards. And so I think that's definitely what it is for the Brewers. The Pirates, kind of similar to the Brewers in a way, but I have it with them being that the young players just simply come up. The main one you have to look towards is Paul Skeens. He didn't make the roster out of spring training, which was kind of a disappointment in my opinion. But, he still has a bright future, obviously. An electric fastball, electric pitches. We all know what Paul Skeens is about at this point. So, I think just him, you have other guys as well in the minor leagues that you really want to come up, show that they are major leaguers at this point in their career, and that they are going to be big parts of their future, not only in the future, but now as well. So that's definitely some things I want to watch if I'm a Pirates fan, and some storylines I need to see here. After that, we have the Reds. The Reds here, I just have players keeping up their performance. For me, the Reds had a lot of breakout candidates last year, a lot of guys who showed up when they needed to. Matt McLain. You had Christian Encarnacion-Strand, Spencer Steer, Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green, Alexis Diaz. A lot of guys who broke out, became really, really good players and important to this team and organization. And I think they need to keep that up and show that wasn't a fluke and kind of solidify themselves as a contender. Show that they are going to be a really good team. They are the favorites in that division. And I definitely think that's something to watch if you are a Reds fan. Can these guys keep up that performance and keep going with it? After that, we are ending off in the NL Central with the Cubs. The Cubs, it's kind of similar to the Reds, and it's just solidified themselves as contenders. For me, the Cubs just have to show that they are contending now. They're now rebuilding. You added a lot of guys this offseason, specifically guys like Shota and Managa. You added Craig Counsell in the managerial way as well. Hector Neris, you re-signed Cody Bellinger. And I think with the team, where the team was last year, with what you added, you have to show that yourselves that you are contenders. and that you are a team to be reckoned with, and that you are going to make the playoffs. So, definitely something to see here as a baseball fan, and see what direction this Cubbies team goes in. For the NL West here, the first team I'm going to start off with is the Diamondbacks. And for me, the key for them going into the year is their new additions performing to their standard. They added a lot of guys this season going off that surprise World Series run. Eduardo Rodriguez, you added Jock Peterson, Eugenio Suarez, and I think those guys performing and playing up to who they are is going to be the key for them. Eduardo Rodriguez brings a really needed true number 3 arm to that rotation, and I think he's going to be a big part of their team, and I'm really excited for what he can do with that team. So I definitely want to watch him, and I definitely want to see what happens with him, and I think it was a great move by them. Eugenio Suarez brings a legitimate bat to that third base position that they haven't had in a little while. They had Evan Longoria starting there, which, the year's 2024. It's not 2023, really, last year. It's not really what you want. So I think adding Suarez is another great bat to that lineup. I think Jock Peterson and Randall Grichuk in that DH platoon adds another dimension that they needed last year in that DH spot. So I think it's just about the new guys performing up to the standard, getting them above where they were last year, not just making the World Series, but winning it, and getting that core to where it should be, and making one of the best Diamondbacks teams in baseball. Making the Diamondbacks one of the best teams in baseball. After that, we have Colorado. For me, it's simply just show something. Show anything. Please show something. You have nothing going on as a Rockies fan right now. There's really nothing positive going on with that franchise, and you need someone to step up. Nolan Jones did it last year. He was nice, but you have other guys I think that need to show something at all. I think one guy I would look towards Adel Amador, who is one of their top prospects. I like him a lot, actually. I think he's a good player, but I think maybe him, or it's going to be someone else, to show anything about that Rockies franchise that is redeeming and has redeeming quality. So I think that's what you have to look for if you're a baseball fan or you're a Rockies fan. Just show anything at all that you have something building here in Colorado. Maybe it's a Chris Bryant bounce back. I'm not sure. After that, we have the Dodgers, and the Dodgers, it's the same thing as the Diamondbacks, which is the new additions have to perform. They added basically the entire free agency pool in this offseason. Of course, they start with Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Glasnow, the other nice pieces in Paxton and Teoscar Hernandez. So I think those guys performing up to who they are, showing why they were paid all this money by the Dodgers, is really what they need to happen. And I think if that happens, they'll be the best team in baseball. They'll easily be the 1 seed in the NL, have the best record in baseball, have one of the best records in baseball history. But I think there's a lot of question marks about these guys, whether you want to admit it or not if you're a Dodgers fan. So it's definitely hit or miss. I think they're all going to hit. I think they're all going to hit, but there are some question marks here with injuries and getting used to the U.S. So it's definitely a question about that. But still, I wouldn't be that worried if I'm a Dodgers fan. But if there is a key to your success, I would say that is what it is. With the Padres, I think it's finding a vision, really. We thought they were rebuilding after they traded Soto and Grisham. Then they traded for Dylan Cease. So I'm not really sure what their plan is. I think they want to contend, but I don't think they're a World Series team right now. I think there's a considerable amount of teams better than them. So I think it's just finding themselves, finding what the plan is for them right now. And I think that's really the season. Just see how the season goes and see if you're ready to contend with these new additions, with the whole new a team that looks a lot different, or are you going to retool a little bit, rebuild? I don't think they want to rebuild after the Cease edition, but if that's what has to happen, it's what has to happen. So that's what I'd look towards if I was a Padres fan. And finally, we have the San Francisco Giants. For them, it is just, again, finding kind of a voice, finding who you are. Are you a contender? Are you not? There's so many injuries on this team that it's kind of that with, can you guys stay afloat till the guys who are injured come back? And with that, are you going to be contending? Are you going to be rebuilding, retooling in a way? I think that's what you really have to look towards. And that's what I would look for if I'm a Giants fan, kind of finding what happens with this team. So, yeah, that is the end of segment 2, just talking about the keys to each NL team season. We're going to go to segment 3 after this, which is going to be about keys to each AL team season. So the same thing I just did, but with different teams, of course. But we're going to go to a break before that, and we'll do segment 3 right after that. So thanks.